Are you sick of not getting hyperchromes in Roblox Jailbreak? Well, you're in the right place. Because in this video, I'm going to be giving you an updated guide on how to get every hyperchrome in the game insanely fast. As my last guide is somehow already very outdated. But before we go over all the strategies and glitches and everything else, the first main thing you're going to need to know is what items to always carry on you, whether you're in public or private servers. Now, the items you should always carry on you are revolver, or AK, it's really up to you, or rifle, but I personally recommend the revolver. Force field launcher, plasma pistol, sniper is optional, but I like to use it, and then rocket launcher, also optional, but I like to use it, and a sword. So these are the items I always carry on me, even in private servers, and I'll quickly explain each one of them. For the sword, most of you probably already know this, but when swinging it, there's a chance to give a dash ability, giving you a speed boost, and if you are grinding in a private server, you can do this command to make it so you can continuously unequip and re-equip the sword to get way more dashes than normal. And for the rest of them, I'll explain them as we get to use them. The next thing to think about is where are you grinding in? Public or a private? Because you see, after the robbery group update, where they removed robbery groups, it gave private servers a sort of massive nerf. Now, robberies open a lot quicker in public servers, and you can get more robberies done in a shorter amount of time in public servers. But you won't have commands, and you will have to deal with cops, but I will teach you the most effective way to deal with cops, and to avoid getting camped. Now, my advice is if you're grinding solo, to go in a public server, to open things like tomb or museum. And if you're with friends, you can also grind in a public, but I tend to find if you're in a group of 2 or 3, I grind in a private. The first thing that you should do when you get into a new server is to try get yourself a key card, whether that be by the cargo plane or the oil rig, or just killing a cop. You are going to need them if you want to rob the bank. The next essential tip is to always be aware of what's open, and agree with whoever you're grinding with what order you're going to do robberies in. This will help you get them all done faster. Tips that can help with this is always checking the map frequently. The first robbery I'm going to cover is the bank. As I said earlier, this will require a key card, as the no-clip glitch got patched. In Rising Bank, if you get this vault, corridor vault, you can use the flintlock to go over the gap without having to use the dynamite. And in Basement Vault, you can also use the flintlock to get to the vault quicker. Remember to grab minimum cash for most robberies, as it lets you leave the robbery quicker and open up more robberies instead. The next robbery I'm going to cover is going to be the casino. First thing you need to know is where to find the codes. It could be behind the desk, or behind the Starlight Lounge sign, or right here on that light. If you're grinding with others, I recommend only one of you do security, and take this route. Rob the rest of the casino normally, but just make sure to take minimum cash and don't die. Next up is the tomb, which recently became easier by them making it so only 2 people are needed to open the tomb. Do the tomb obby as normal, just as fast as you physically can, while taking as little damage possible until you get to this section. Now over here we can do a glitch. We want to go through both gates, grab a gem, and then go back to the first. Wait for another player to open the gate, and then climb over here and climb onto the track. Now, if you just walk up the track, you should be able to get in the minecart before the door even opens. Only do this glitch if you're the first person in the tomb though, otherwise the door is probably already open and this will just slow it down. But if there isn't other people behind you to open the gate, we can do it by ourselves as well. But this way is a bit more complex. I'm gonna slow it down so you can see what happens. When coming out of Tomb, always make sure to flip the lever to the left, as it will give you the fastest exit. And if you ever see train enter the map, if you're in a private server, make sure to run the command train speed 0 to stop the train so you can rob it later. Another private server command tip is if you notice mansions open, turn rain on to stop the time. So yeah, again, you can rob mansion later. Now the next 3 robberies we're going to cover, jewelry store, museum and power plant, you're going to want to do in this specific order if you can, as this is by far the most efficient order to do them in. I will also mention all the glitches and tricks for each one, starting with the jewelry store. Unfortunately, the jewelry store doesn't have any glitches anymore, but the things you're going to want to know for this is to start from the 2nd floor and work your way up, and when you get to the top, you're going to want to break the glass here and come out this way. Obviously, make sure you go to the turning point over here, as this is the quickest. After you rob the jewelry store, we're going to want to go straight to the museum. And when in the museum, we're going to want to take this specific route for items, as this is the fastest way to get a full bag and rob it. The old helicopter museum glitch though still works if you want to use this one. For this one you're going to need to use an alt account or friend, position your alt account or friend right here, and then when you grab something you're going to want to step on top of their head and get out. And then if you want to get them out, you can use the helicopter rope to let them out. After you rob the museum, you're going to want to head straight to power plant if it's open. Don't turn in your bag, just head straight to power plant and do the power plant like you normally would. Make sure to do the power plant puzzle as fast as you can if you want to catch other robberies as well. Now, when you're out of the power plant, you can go back to the volcano base taking this route. Slightly different to the old one, given that the new military base is in the way. When you get here, drop the bag, turn in your uranium, and then go back to pick up the bag. Wait for your roll to be over, and then you should be able to turn in your museum bag for 2 rolls at the same time. Unfortunately for the cargo train, there aren't really many glitches, so you just want to rob it like normal just for minimum cash. But it's not that bad because it's still the quickest robbery in the game. However, passenger train is different. You're able to rob the back carriage without it even being open. All you have to do is perform this glitch. You go up to the back door, press space, hold W, crouch, and then turn around and you should be teleported in. Do the same to get out and you now have robbed the train back carriage without it even being open. Now for the plane. This typically opens around the time that you're robbing museum or power plant, and if it does, you're going to have to do the power plant really quickly to manage to make it into the plane in time. This is the fastest route from the volcano base to the Bounty Bay airport. As you can see, I barely made it in time. If I would have taken any other route, I would have missed it. Unfortunately, they patched the no clip glitch so you can no longer get into the plane after the door closed, unless you use the hatch on the top of the roof. If you're really skilled, you can fly a plane onto the top, and if you have a key card, you can open the roof hatch, but that is really hard, so I recommend just making it before the plane takes off. If you don't already have a key card, I would recommend opening all the crates until you get one, so you have a key card to rob the bank later on. Afterwards, just take the quickest route back to the crime port, and anytime plane reopens, just make sure you prioritize it, as it's a moving robbery and you won't be able to rob it that much. So if you want the hyperchrome from it, it's important to prioritize it. Also, when going to the crime port, if you're on a vault bike, you can use this bump to the left to go over the gate. In between all these robberies, if you ever see an airdrop, you should go for it. While there are not any glitches anymore for them, they have been nerfed, so they are easier. This is where you want to use primarily the revolver and the sniper to kill the NPCs. When they drop, you can try snipe them out the sky, drive backwards a little bit to gain some space, and just kill them with a revolver. If you use a force field when you're low, just be aware that NPCs have a 50% chance to shoot through force fields. If you die, spawn at the nearest place to the airdrop and come back to finish it off. Doing this will give you invites for the next thing we're going to cover, the mansion. Anytime this is open, you want to focus this, as it gives 2 times hyperchrome chances. So I'm going to be quickly going over the fastest ways to defeat the CEO, even though they patched all the glitches. After you enter the elevator, you're going to want to first of all just make sure you don't take any damage to these lasers. It should be fairly easy, and the only remaining glitch with the CEO, the desk, has been moved into this room right here. So now we're going to have to come up with different ways to beat the CEO. To start the robbery, shoot the CEO, immediately place down a force field, and shoot rocket launchers at the NPCs. Then you can shoot them with your revolver until they die. Then just headshot the CEO with the revolver. When he calls in NPCs, you can spawn a force field and shoot them with your plasma pistol, or just shoot them with your revolver. When the CEO attacks you, stand behind one of these bumps in the ground and shoot him to pop up a wall. This will block his attack, as long as you're not standing right next to the wall. I recommend doing this with at least one other person. If he enters this phase, the CEO will regenerate health. To avoid him doing this, you've got to deal more damage quicker. Now that's all the robberies covered, next is how to deal with camping cops. Cops can be very annoying, especially when you're hyper grinding. This is why a lot of people grind in private servers. But if you want to grind in public, here are the best ways to deal with cops. At plane, right before the door closes, peek out and see if there's any cops coming. If there are any, you can fight them. Speaking of fighting cops, this is the weapon loadout I use. Revolver for high damage. This is my main weapon. This can easily be replaced with AK or rifle. Shotgun is for high damage in close combat. C4 is very useful for ragdolling cops. It's basically a taser for criminals. You want to use this whenever your opponent gets close to you. Flintlock, again for high damage. You usually want to use this at the start of the fight. Force field and plasma pistol for healing and defending myself while healing. Sniper for long distance. And finally, rocket launcher for hitting through walls and force fields. All of these weapons, if you use them right, make you nearly unbeatable in a fight. But how do you actually know if you're going to get camped? Well, let's take this example of being camped at the museum. A feature that not that many players know is that if you look at the minimap, it actually tells you if cops are nearby. Every 5 seconds, blue dots will flash up on your map, showing you where cops are. As you can see in this example, I knew that I was being camped by at least 2 cops. What I first tried to do was to bait them through the door. This teleports them away since cops cannot enter most robberies. If this doesn't work, try going through a different door. Most robberies, if not all, have separate exits that you can go to. If they follow you, then your final option might be to fight. But if you don't feel confident enough to do that, here's something that you can do that I did in this example. If you're the only one left in the robbery, you can run out and back in again and just get teleported away from the robbery, giving you enough time to spawn your vehicle and get out. Other examples of camping include the tomb, which there are multiple exits to, so in here, this example, I just went out the other exit. And in casino, if you notice cops enter, I recommend just staying in the vault room until the timer runs out. This is because this is a very open space to fight cops in. If they come in the vault room, you can easily beat them in a fight. If they don't, you'll get teleported out. And that is pretty much everything there is to avoiding camping cops. But wait, you may be thinking, what about hopping? Basically, if you want me to make a separate video on hopping, just leave a comment down below. Anyway, that's it for today's video. I'll see you guys in the next one.